Fasten your seatbelts. Oh, it says we're live already. That was quick. Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Creative on Purpose Live. This is a pop-up episode. I was scrolling through the interwebs and I came across my friend Catherine, engaged in a really fantastic project around one of my favorite subjects, Stoicism, capital S, and invited Brittany and Kathy to come on the show to talk about what they're up to. Catherine is recovering from a COVID vaccine, and we wish her a good rest today. And but Brittany is here to share a little bit about what they're cooking up and what they're up to. So Brittany, Polat, please tell us who you are, where you are, what you're up to, and where people can go to learn more.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. So Catherine and I are working together. We are co-organizers and co-hosts for this awesome event that we have coming up in June. On June 5th, we will be doing Stoicon X Women, Practical Paths to Flourishing. This is actually a historic conference. It's the first known event in the history of Stoicism, which, as you know, goes back 2,300 years. This is the first one by, for, and about women. So it's a really special thing that we're doing. We're excited to be talking about it here. I believe you're going to have a link in the show notes where people can click on to see what's going on. Our program is focused mainly around three kind of main areas. It's going to be about creativity, which obviously is a passion of yours and probably many of your listeners. Also about meditation and kind of the caring and community aspect of Stoicism that so often gets overlooked. So we're really hoping, coming here at the tail end of the pandemic, everyone's been living in very cozy quarters with their loved ones for a long time. And so we're thinking about, kind of emerging from this kind of long slumber we've had and really being vibrant and creative and really thinking about how to flourish with our next phase of life, whatever it is.
Fantastic. Just to clarify, you mentioned that it's part of the Stoicon X series, and is the event open only to women, or is it just being run by women and anybody can join?
It is open to everyone, and we encourage everyone. There's going to be something for everyone about creativity. The meditation applies to everybody. So yes, even though it is kind of targeting women, it's kind of a special space for women, but everyone is welcome. And we do already have men signed up, and we hope some more will join us as well.
Well, I plan on being there for sure. What's really interesting about your event to me is that Stoicism, like any ancient philosophy, is full of men, and we get a lot of our perspective from the remaining, the existing works by male authors and male teachers. Epictetus never wrote anything, but his student Arrian did. We have Marcus Aurelius's journal. We have Seneca's letters. But Musonius Rufus, a Stoic who was Epictetus's teacher, I believe, did have some things to say about the role of women in Stoic life. Do you have any reflections or can you shine a light on the feminist roots of Stoicism?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because the ancient Stoics were actually very forward-thinking, whereas Greek and Roman society was very patriarchal. The Stoics kind of said, well, women have as much thinking capacity as men do. They have just as much reason to become educated and to become virtuous. And Musonius in particular advocated the education of women. So they were way ahead of their time. And even though Stoicism has kind of been underground for a long time, a lot of women have found inspiration in it. Some of your listeners may not know that the first translator of Epictetus into English was actually a woman, Elizabeth Carter, in the 18th century. So there are women in and around Stoicism and always have been. So we're really happy to be kind of, as you said, shining a light on this area.
Yeah, and just to be clear, although the Stoics got many, many things right, they of course also got some things wrong. And it's not a religion, it's not a cult. You don't have to buy all the dogma all the time. But it is really interesting to me that the Stoics got so many things right, and this idea that if virtue is the only good, and both men and women have access to virtue, therefore both men and women have should be entitled to education, exploration, philosophical thinking, and so forth. So really grateful to to hear about this event, and I'm just curious about your, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your backstory or your origin story as someone that's interested in and practicing and now helping promote Stoic philosophy.
Yes, so I learned about Stoicism about 5 years ago during a pretty difficult period in my life. I had just moved to a new town, didn't have any family or friends, but had three young children to take care of. Some depression and anxiety going on. And I was pretty much at my wits' end. I didn't really know which way to turn, what to do. I literally went online one day and just typed in books about wisdom, and one of the books that popped up was Bill Irvin's A Guide to the Good Life.
Mm,
And, the subtitle of his book is The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. It
mhm,
was really intriguing. And then I saw Donald Robertson's book, Stoicism and the Art of Happiness, and some other titles. And I was like, wow, this is odd. Why do these people keep talking about Stoicism, which, of course, in common parlance is kind of known as being dour and stiff upper lip? What does this have to do with being happy and joyful? So I bought the book, read it, fell in love, and just, kept investigating, which I think it's a similar story for many people. I think a lot of us do come to it in a time in our lives when we're looking for wisdom.
mhm,
And, Stoicism was not the first way of life that I had looked into. I think many people probably look into Buddhism and some other philosophies out there. And Stoicism is the one that really, really speaks to, using your rationality, but also learning to become joyful at a very deep level and learning to be satisfied with what you have in life. So I kept going. I've never looked back. And, it really works. And that's why I think a lot of people keep doing it.
yeah. Well, just a couple things to quickly highlight there. One of the things I love about Stoicism is that the primary texts are actually very, very accessible. You don't need an interpreter or a middle person to help you figure out what the Stoics are talking about. To your point, Brittany, it's very practical, pragmatic, and very actionable insight and wisdom that you can understand immediately and, more importantly, apply to your day-to-day living. So always encourage people to go to the primary text if they can. My introduction was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away when I was in the 7th grade and was introduced to Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. But you mentioned William Irvine's book, which of all of the more recent books that are introducing Stoic philosophy, in modern times, I think that is actually the very, very best introduction to somebody that is ready to just explore what is this Stoicism thing is. And it's interesting that you said that Stoicism has kind of been underground for a while. I think it's still underground, and it's been underground ever since Christianity kind of usurped its primacy as a the main philosophy of living in the 300s AD. But there's always been, historically, it pops up in the reading of the founding fathers of the United States. Bill, more recently, Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela. There's all sorts of people that have tapped this wisdom, and now, even though we have the modern Stoicism movement, what's interesting to me, and I just appreciate your reflection on this, is that and what we see in the way that Stoicism is being applied in places like the Silicon Valley is that it's kind of being it's cherry picked for the things that work for the purposes that people want them to work for, as opposed to the more ancient approach of this is a way of being. It's not dogma. It's not a cult. And it evolves, but it just seems like even within modern Stoicism, we can find moments when there's some dissonance with the way it's being applied and the way it's being interpreted, as opposed to the way it was actually first articulated.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I think the central feature of Stoicism is and always has been that you will be happy if you become virtuous, and that striving towards virtue. And of course, this is the very technical Greek sense of virtue, which again is kind of to our ears today, it sounds a little bit funny, but it means excellence of a person, right? It's being that person who is strong and resilient and wise, the kind of person that everyone looks up to. It's not sitting at home knitting or anything like that. So it's becoming an excellent and strong and noble person. I love the phrase nobility of soul, nobility of mind, greatness of mind, all these things. This is what we're going for as Stoics. And so this will be yours, and it can be yours if you work towards virtue. Now, nobody's ever going to be perfect, obviously, but it's something for us to aim for. And in aiming for it, we will get closer to it. You will if you work towards it. And this is where you find that deep, rich contentment in life. So I think this is the central feature of Stoicism, both ancient and modern. And there are, as you mentioned, some people who say, well, you're going to be more productive or you're going to be more rich. And, this is what you're really aiming for. Those are benefits. Those are side benefits, but those are called preferred indifference. And so, yes, you might gain greater powers of concentration. It's possible that you might gain material benefits as well, but it's not the main thing. So, yes, I love that you mentioned that. And this is what we're going for. It's happiness and wisdom.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, the excellence of character is what I love about Stoicism is that and you mentioned, one of the things that comes up, you mentioned Buddhism earlier, and whenever somebody first gets introduced to Stoicism, one of the first things they often say is, "This sounds a lot like Buddhism," and it is. During the axial age, there were many philosophies and spiritual disciplines that were kind of arriving at some of the same truths at almost the same time, even though there wasn't a lot of connection and communication going back and forth. I always think of Stoicism as kind of like a very Western sounding kind of Buddhism. And what I love about Stoicism is it's a philosophy about development of potential and excellence that recognizes that the result is actually not the reward, because the result is impossible to achieve, and that it's the effort, the daily discipline of stepping into your potential and possibility every day. That's all you get. And that's very much the message of Hinduism, Buddhism, and other spiritual disciplines, is you are entitled to your labor, not the fruits of your labor.
Yep, absolutely.
So for people that are interested in checking out the link and your event with Catherine, Practical Paths to Flourishing, give us just a quick summary of what people might expect to be engaged in. Is there some interactive component to it, and how, the ins and outs of when it is, how long it is?
Yes, so we do want it to be very interactive. One of our major themes is connection. So we're going to provide lots of opportunities for attendees to connect with each other. We actually have a 30-minute breakout session where you'll be able to actually go in chat rooms and talk with other attendees about how they apply Stoicism in their lives, or maybe some of their takeaways from the sessions. So we definitely want it to be interactive. We're really, really happy about our keynote speaker, Sharon LaBelle, who some of your listeners will know is kind of the grandmother of modern Stoicism for women. She has a classic, the Manual of Virtue, which is her version of Epictetus's works. And we are so excited to have Sharon. She's just an amazing presence, amazing thinker. She'll be doing our keynote. We also have Karen Duffy, who spoke at StoiCon last year. Both Sharon and Karen spoke at StoiCon last year. She will be talking about creativity. So this will be of special interest to your listeners. There is a panel moderated by Catherine, who was not able to join us today, but she will be talking with Karen Duffy, as well as Rathio Torres, who is actually the graphic designer for Modern Stoicism. Mm-hmm. And Casey Pierce, who is a comic book editor, who's actually, I believe she's helping Donald Robertson with his graphic novel about Marcus Aurelius. So we have some amazing, strong leaders talking on this creativity team. Really excited about that. As I mentioned, also, we will be having lots to do on meditation. And Ranjini George Phillip is talking about meditation. She teaches writing. Her talk is called The Goddess and the Emperor, talking about her story, her path to Stoicism. So lots of really exciting stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, and for the viewers of this broadcast, Casey Pierce was on the show just about a month ago, and it's a fantastic interview, worth watching to the very end, because Casey had a real mic drop moment as we were closing. The event sounds absolutely phenomenal. I love that Sharon's going to be there. That is the only translation of Epictetus that I've ever read, and I know that academics sometimes don't smile on that one as brightly as some of the other translations. I find that translation to be very engaging, very easy to understand, and again, it's a handbook, it's a guidebook. It's meant to be acted. The insights are meant to be acted upon, and it's just a beautifully rendered translation. So, really, really super excited, folks. I have dropped the link in the chat, so you should be able to access this. Is there a cost involved, and is it a one-time event, or is it happening over a period of time?
We do hope it will be the first of many. We'd like to make it an annual event. But yes, it is by donation. It's a donation of your choosing. So, if things have been rough for you lately, $1 is completely fine. We have suggested donation levels of $10, $25, and $50. $50 will earn you entrance to this special Stoa event we have afterwards, where you'll be able to talk with the speakers kind of more in detail about their ideas. And it will also get you a ticket to Catherine's workshop the following day on journaling with the Stoics. So as you know, Catherine is amazing. Her workshop has amazing results. So anyone who would like to attend that and would also like to support the cause of modern Stoicism, because you're helping to spread Stoicism to other people as well. So we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Yeah, fantastic. And I neglected to mention, but well, now that Catherine also has appeared on the broadcast a long time ago. And so if you go searching through the Facebook archives, you can find her discussion with me as well. It's really, really, really thrilling to see this event coming to life. I'm super excited about the event and the speakers, and just want to express deep gratitude to you, Brittany and Catherine, for putting something like this together. As someone who has put together a number of online events, I know how much work is involved, and just deeply appreciate what you and Catherine are doing to make things better and to make a difference by turning more people on to the all the lessons of Stoicism and bringing people together to do this in community. Super, super powerful, super important, and really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support of the Stoic community as well.
All right, fantastic. All right, everybody, click on the link. We'll hope to see you at the event. Take care.